Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by. So the Miami Dolphins, they continued training camp. We had ourselves a good old-fashioned dust-up today, a skirmish, a little scuffle, a little back and forth between Kenny G, Kenneth Grant, first-round pick, and Andrew Meyer. And let me tell you something. Nothing speaks camp like the first dust-up. Now, we're going to get probably a bunch of these. You know, the pads are coming on this week, so you're going to get some more dust-ups. Maybe, I think helmets came off today. Did helmets come off today? Helmets came off today. Intense. I love the idea of the helmets coming off. It's almost like an honored tradition, like the gloves getting dropped in hockey. That's how you know it's real. And so Kenny G and Andrew Meyer getting into it, which, by the way, he's sitting in for Aaron Brewer at center. Not back yet. Not worried, but Aaron Brewer not back yet. Kader Kohu looks like it's going to be a couple weeks at least. Liam Eichenberg was seen with a compression sleeve. We don't know exactly what's going on with Darren Waller. Am I being a party pooper if already? I know they said, no bigs, dude. PUP list. But I'm kind of confused on something because it's like, hey, you bring him in and nobody checked to see if he was in the football shit. I don't know. I don't want to just get OBJ vibes all of a sudden where it's it's week 4 and he's still working his way back. It's like you guys didn't know that he was working his way back. Anyway, the Dolphins are apparently hosting Noah Fant, former Seahawks tight end, to bring into the roster and bring into the fold as well. Nobody looks at that and is like, huh. Because, look, it's a beautiful thing that Darren Waller looks like he is getting his life in the right place and that, he seems more at peace. I'm just a little curious, well, it's not contact practice, right? I guess I look at it like this. He's not good to go. Excuse my ignorance on this, because I don't know. Maybe he is a leg thing. I don't know. But I just looked at it and I was like, well, this is basically flag football right now. They're out there not in pads, kind of running routes, doing some red zone drills. He couldn't spend this week getting on the same page and then being like, yeah, you know what, baby, I'm not ready for contact yet, even in the week. Just seems strange. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if there are things in camp where I'm like, I don't know if it's a thing or if we're making it to be too much of a thing. I'll always get yelled at by Leroy. He's like, you're making too much of a thing of this. It's like, yeah, maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I see the tweets today that Tyreek Hill didn't show up for stretch today. I'm like, oh. Yeah, the weekend after Tua kind of, I don't say skewered him on NFL Network, but was he kind of said his statement and then was going even more at it about holding Tyreek Hill accountable. And it's Tyreek Hill being like, okay. Now, they're still apparently getting on the same page and balling out in camp together, which awesome. I think that's going to be the great elixir of all of this. As much as Tyreek Hill is charismatic and hilarious, and will say ridiculous things, whatever he says with his words and whatever his F-ups are, off the field, his out has always been, I'm one of the greatest football players you've ever seen on this field, or at least currently. I'm one of the most unstoppable things in this league, and that will always intoxicate you, and that will always be like the Pepe Le Pew perfume that brings you and have those hard eyes, and then we all I kind of forgot what was I mad at him about. That's what he is. That's how talented he is. And you'll have greats like this from time to time in sports where it's yeah, they got a lot of stuff that you don't like about them. But ultimately, you're watching a team sport. You put aside all of the things that annoy you or the things that maybe you're not that proud of, that you root for that person. But you just watch what they can do on a football field, and you're just like, I don't care. I just want to watch this guy do incredible athletic feats because look at it. It's incredible. And I don't know. I don't think it's a thing. I'm gonna chalk it up as not a thing that he was tweeting YouTube stuff and not stretching, because it's stretching. Who was the guy back on the Cleveland Browns where he was like, you think we need stretching in Normandy? But also, it was a thing like, oh, yeah, he was out there stretching the start of the week, and then I think it was put today. Oh, no, back to normal. I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, I'm sure it's nothing. Am I curious, what he has to say now that Tua's had his say and what his say is going to be? I think he's going to no-sail it. I think that's how Tyreek's going to handle a lot of this. I think he's going to try and extinguish a lot of the drama and unbelievably, hopefully, do a lot more talking with the playing because, again, I think that's the best avenue. Sometimes you can say nothing that will get you any kind of credit. I think the Dolphins are kind of in a no words. What's the thing they're trying to go with? They talk, we do. For Tyreek Hill, that might actually be the best path to success, right? It may just be what Tua said, what people think, all that stuff. Here's 2,000 yards for you. You'll forget. And maybe that's where it's at. Quinn Ewers is apparently balling out in camp. He's looking good. And I was wondering about this because this genuinely has me excited for preseason, right? And man, I can't believe I just said those words. But I imagine in preseason, we're going to get a lot of Zach Wilson and we're going to get a lot of Quinn Ewers. We're not going to get a lot of Tua. I would be surprised if Tua plays in the preseason. Like I really think we're going to get to a point where the Dolphins are like, well, Tua knows everything about this offense. He doesn't really have any receivers he needs to get on the same page with. What's the point of him playing in preseason? Only bad things can happen, right? Like I think in the mode last year, I was like, you know what? I think Tua could use a little time. Let's get him out there. And he did. I really see no purpose in it this year. This should be a year, because based on Tua's availability concerns, that the Miami Dolphins should just be a Zach Wilson, Quinn Ewers show in preseason. And I'm curious if it's going to be any kind of a battle, because it's Quinn Ewers, like, still pretty highly thought of it. There was a point I was thinking, I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool if he was the Hurricanes quarterback, like, instead of the Dolphins quarterback. If he was making $3-4 mil on the Canes instead of the Dolphins this year, maybe that would have been a more productive part of my fandom. The Dolphins gave a ton of dough to Zach Wilson, and Mike McDaniel made it seem like, yeah, this is the guy that I'm picking out. And almost to a point where I was like, look at you little QB whispering minx. You look like you have a new project that you like. Like I've fixed Tua. I've kind of figured it out. He stays healthy, we're good. He doesn't, we're screwed. And last year, obviously it was a disaster, and the Dolphins did not back themselves. So in a way, it's good that the Dolphins are going to be in a position where hopefully they have a couple of options. But even Mike McDaniel, he really seemed like he was gushing over the whole Zach Wilson thing. I was like, whoa, this dude loves him some Zach Wilson. He really does. Because Quinn Ewers, he was talking about him today, and, he's doing the whole, he's a rookie. He's very smart. He says, I think that he's really benefited from Zach Wilson in that quarterback room. I was like, wait, you mentioned him above Tua? Like, he mentioned Tua too, but he goes, I really think Quinn has benefited from Zach really developing. And then on top of that, Tua leads the charge. So I think those guys are all pushing each other to grow. I think realistically, Quinn's development is all him, but it's just as much about the coaching you get from the quarterback coaches and Zach and Tua as him as well. They're creating such a good environment, and that he has to keep up because the other two are rolling. And I was like, oh, man. Mentioned Zach. It's not like, I get it. He mentioned Tua, but he mentioned Zach Wilson first, which means like he's kind of got a new toy that he wants to try and figure out. And he wants to see, can I harness this real piss whistle this guy has into anything? And I don't know. The Jets certainly have an element of good luck Chuck to their quarterbacks going on. If you don't remember, terrible rom-com, Dane Cook, every woman that he was with and then broke up with, then got married. Seems to be with the Jets. They have a run going now. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. You leave the Jets, good things are going to happen to you. And one has to wonder, if the Tua thing doesn't work out this year, right? Yeah, the Dolphins need to pivot on their next answer. And one of these two, if by some reason he can't play, all right, please play. Please play Tua. please, I need you to play, dude. But if he can't play, one of these two dudes better friggin' work out. Another draft pick and a high-paid backup. Dude, one of them better work out, because I think that's another element to the coach. And then you're starting to wonder, like, is Mike McDaniel a quarterback guru? Or is he just a guy who is super nice to Tua when Tua needed somebody to be nice to him? I don't know. But I am genuinely excited, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm genuinely excited to see what these guys can do. Now, it may mean nothing. I mean, Skylar Thompson looked like Joe Montana in preseason, and it won him a roster spot. And I'm sure Eric Ezukama is licking his chops thinking about the idea of catching passes from Quinn Ewers and, getting himself a roster spot again, looking like Miami Dolphins preseason Jerry Rice. And then all of a sudden, we're going to start having the Quinn Ewers talk. But it's going to have to be good. It's a little Mike Whitish from the first year, it feels like. But he's going to have to leaps and bounds be better than Zach Wilson. At least this year. Next year, who knows? I think next year the hope is probably, that he takes that next step, that he can develop. And then maybe he's the next dude who it comes out of nowhere, or fell as long as he did, and a couple of years of pro under his belt, and then he's actually starting this league. I don't know. But it could just be that he's going to end up being a journeyman. Hell, listen, Quinn, Tim Boyle's still getting on rosters, dude. Like, you'll be all right. But I did find that I do find it interesting. It seems like McDaniel is speaking glowingly, not only of Quinn Ewers, but he loves him some Zach Wilson. So very excited to see what these two can bring to the table, because it feels like all August is their months. All right, not Tua's month. Tua, he starts the 7th against the Colts. That's when you guys get to see Tua. All right, he'll do a joint practice, maybe one a week, maybe two. Right, little action. But this whole preseason nonsense for Tua with doing 3 joint practices, waste of time. No way, dude.